Thank y'all for tuning in for our next episode with Life in with Keisha Niche. I'm Keish.
And I'm Niche. Welcome back, guy.
Hey. So today we are going to be talking about the in-laws. Okay? So we're gonna talk about
I
these
had to
in-laws,
laugh
okay?
because just the way you said that.
In-laws. You already know. You already know. So we're gonna talk about the in-laws today because we want to talk about the importance of them being involved with raising our kids. So I'm gonna tell you the backstory of how this came about. So, met my husband up in college. We got together and it was just me and him. And we did it the traditional way for meeting parents and things like that. So, we got together, we started talking, and then when we started getting serious, I met his people, he met my mom, and we hit it off. Everybody, my family, all of them, basically, like my mom, my sisters, brother, um, uncle, grandma, they all liked them. And especially was a plus with my uncles because they was like, yeah, he come in here, we talking about sports and all that. They love that sports stuff. So, but yeah, everybody was like, "Oh my god, yeah, he's cool" or whatever. So I was happy about that. But the first person that I really needed to get there, or I wanted to involve them, was my brother because me and my brother tight, and we still to this day is are. So, anyways, back to the in-laws. So I met his parents and things like that. Everything was hitting off. Everything was good until we started bringing in the babies. So I don't know what happened about that, but everything was cool, like I said. And then once I started, became pregnant, that's when everything took a turn. I mean, from, you know, I would say like, to me, I really didn't need the support system anyway, because everybody was happy in any way. But anyway, I'm just my own person anyway, and I'm more independent. So as life went on, things started going down, as far as the communication, the support. Even after, I had my daughters, I say my first daughter because she was the first, and then it just buckled down from there. So basically my daughter was born in December, which is, the cold month. And I was the type, like, look, first of all, it was my mom. So like certain days we would go down there, and plus my mom was my babysitter at the time. However, um, during those times, like, I wanted to keep my daughter inside because everything was so cold outside. And I'm like, I'm not about to be going back and forth, even with my mom house. I'm not going back and forth to take her out, take her in and out and all this, even though she had her snowsuit and stuff like that. So, and they were like literally closer to us than my mom. So, and they was the type that would travel anyway. So I don't know what was the issue of coming over, but that became a thing. So after that, it was just, I don't know, the attitude just changed. At first it was more inviting, then it became closed in, then it was like blah blah blah. I guess because also their son, he's the only child. So who else do he have? So I felt like I felt like they felt that I was taking him away from them. Because now he had his own family. And but that wasn't the case. But that's why I said when their dynamic changed as far as like their attitude and everything, I changed with it because now I have to figure out how to protect my peace. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
So that's how that happened. And then it still came down to, babysitting. They were still working. So it really wasn't a support system there because I couldn't like drop them off and stuff like that, quote unquote, maybe on the weekends, but I I still work the weekend, but then that's when it started becoming between me and him for the support system because I will work Saturday and Sunday sometimes, and then he would be off all the time. So that's how that came about. And then ever since then I had then we had our second daughter, and then it's, everything from the first daughter stayed the same. So we really didn't have that support system at that time, and to this day we still don't. So I think that's where it happened, and it was a lot of miscommunication, I guess it was. But because I left it up to my husband, especially for his side, to fix it. um and like I said, everybody was acting like they was so excited, but then when the baby actually come, there's no support there. So same thing happened with my mom. Like, she was there, she was watching them and things like that. But then when I started being the parent that I am, it was clashing, because when she was thinking like, okay, I was a mom before I raised you. You can't tell me what to do with your kid. And I'm like, that's my baby. You know what I'm saying? Now you gotta go what I say. So that was the dynamics of, like the in-laws, and how they um supposed to be that support system, but also be there for you and to help you build that village. So as y'all know, like I talked about the last episode, like that village is really not built because we don't have that support system from either side. So that's why we wanted to talk about the in-laws today, because I wanted to share with y'all, like, how important it is when the kids start growing up, and how it starts from when they were babies. So what you got for me, Niche? Because I know you got the positivity side on your side.
Not really. Well, I guess, but but for me, I mean, well, we didn't. I didn't meet my in-laws the traditional way. I met my mother-in-law first, and I actually met her like when me and my husband first started like seeing each other. I met her like right
Mhm.
away. I met
Oh,
his
nice.
dad probably like a couple months in of us dating, and I met his dad, but he didn't really have like a close relationship with his dad like that growing up. So they kind of like
Mhm.
reestablished their relationship as our relationship was forming too. And then his dad passed away about 3 years ago or so. So, which hit him really hard because he was losing his dad. He felt
Mhm.
like he was just bonding with him, and then there was that loss. But I would say our relationship, like as far as my in-laws, is not bad. I mean, it's not really nothing I can say about them because my mother-in-law, she'll have my kids for a whole weekend, or if we need to go on vacation, she'll take them for a whole week. She actually will watch them more than my parents do. But so I don't really have anything like bad to say. I would say that I feel like I had a closer relationship with my father-in-law than my mother-in-law, not for like
Mhm.
any particular reason. It just kind of flowed that way as, the relationships went on.
Mhm.
I'll call her sometimes. I don't really talk to her that much. Again, not because of any particular reason. It's just how the
Mhm.
relationship just flow, and there's no like animosity or anything, like no bad blood between us or anything. It just kind of like went that way. But I
Mhm.
feel like like I said, my relationship with my father-in-law was a little more stronger. And I guess it was just a different dynamic because he was a male. So it just, kind of like father
Right.
figure type thing. Where the kids will go, see him a lot too. Now they didn't really spend a lot because his parents weren't together. So they didn't really like spend weekends or days and stuff at granddad house, but they did go and visit him.
Oh,
And
that's what they call them,
I guess that's what
granddad?
I said. Yeah, they granddad. I mean, and I even called them dad because we had like a close relationship like that. So that it was
That's nice.
definitely a really big loss once he was gone, and it really did affect our family. Especially my
Mhm.
husband because, like I said, they were still like building their relationship and their bond. But like
Right,
as
and your
far
son
as
too.
our yeah. So it's like as far as our dynamic and stuff, like I said, my mother-in-law, she'll take the kids and she'll keep them, like I said, for a whole weekend. She'll keep them for a week. If we need a break, he'll call her up and be like, listen, can you take the kids so we can have some time to
Mhm.
ourselves? Like we need a break. They driving us crazy. And they'll go down
Mhm.
there. Now her great nephew lives with her also. So he, helps with helping her manage the kids while they're down there and stuff because he's 21 or so. And he kind of grew up with them because she always had him. She adopted him since he was baby. So she's always had him. He's always been there. So he's always helped out with watching the kids when they go down there to her house. Um,
That's
but I would
awesome.
say, like, as far as like you said with that support and stuff, I can definitely say she's been supportive because she gives us that time to ourselves when we need it and takes the kids for us. Whereas like my mom, she'll watch them sometimes or like for a couple hours and stuff, but it's not like whole weekends or anything like that, like how it is
Mhm.
with my in-laws, or with my mother-in-law. So it's definitely a different dynamic, and like you said, that support is really important because you need that sometimes. You need that break, you need that time to yourself to recuperate when they're getting on your nerves. Because I have three
Mm-hmm.
and they drive me crazy. So it's like sometimes I need that little break. And like I was saying, my mom, she'll watch them for a couple hours or so, but it's not how it is with my mother-in-law. It's different. So that
Right.
village, like you said, is really important. That time, you need that time, that bond. Well, and it's not even just for you. Like, they're the
That's what I'm
grandparents, so they
saying.
should be bonding and creating
Yes.
that grandparent grandchild bond on their own outside of you needing a break. It just should be
Mm-hmm.
something that should be happening anyway.
And put their
So
pride to the side, even if a situation come up and y'all argue or y'all get into it. It's like you're doing too much. You're not
right.
thinking about the greater good, which is having those relationship with our with our kids, but your grandkids. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
what matters to me. Like, I was talking to my mom a couple weeks ago, and I was telling her, I was like, "Look, mom, like, first of all, you gotta learn to stay in your lane. Number one, because I'm mom. You don't have to be mom to my kids.
Mhm.
Because that's her position elsewhere. And I'm like, you have to learn how to respect my boundaries, because when I tell you to an extent or to an degree, I think it's to a degree of my kids and how I'm parenting, like, you have to abide by my rules, because these are my kids. I'm raising them how I want. I just need your support and
Mhm.
guidance to reinforce that. So you can't come in and say, oh, well, you can do X, Y, and Z when that's not how it is. And I'm not talking about a little as, okay, well, 30 minutes more, you can stay up for bed or whatever, and they bedtime is not 30. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about anything in general where she'll come in and she'll like mess up something. And I'm like, no. Or then she don't like the way that I parent, and so she be trying to critique it. And I'll be like, no, you can't do that. Because she's so used to doing that with the rest of my siblings, she forget that, you know, I'm not like them. You know what I'm saying? She don't have to be a mom to my kids. And I'm like, and what are you doing where you can't even come and get your kids? Like, again, that's why I feel like I'm the outsider, because it's like, when you have multiple kids, I get, because we talked about this in our previous episode on how you got
Mhm.
to figure out your kids, figure out
Mhm.
what their needs, what their wants, because even though you're so independent, you still need that support system. Now, I'm
Mhm.
not saying I need help doing this and that and third, but all I ask you to do is, like you said with your mom, you could take them for a couple of dollars. They don't have to stay, you know, like you said, taking your kids for a couple hours. They don't have to stay for overnight or whatever. Just take them
Mhm.
for a couple hours. Just have that bond with them. I want my kids to be like, you know what? I did X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? What Nan or whatever. And that's what she's called. X, Y, and Z, and be happy about that. Have those memories. Like, you just cannot, you know, not do nothing and not have those memories, because I can remember me having memories with my grandma. Like, that's why it matters. We didn't have aunts, but I had uncles. So I can still
Mhm.
say I had memories with my uncles.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? That goes the same thing with my siblings, being aunt. So I want them to also have relationship with them. Again, put your pride to the side and let them know, like, hey, I'm auntie. I want them to be able to be like, you know what, I did X, Y, and Z with so and so. But
I would say I
again, they don't
definitely
think
understand
the way
that
I think.
too. Yeah. Because I was gonna say with that too, like you said, they should have that bond on their own, without you. Even like you said, even if it's for a couple hours, have that bond
Hmm.
without. I don't know, just naturally. I feel like it just should come naturally.
Yes.
Now, for me, I think what it was with my mom, we didn't, I mean, I went to my grandmother's house, but I didn't go like
Mhm.
that. And it wasn't like we was
Mm.
dropped off and even for like a couple hours. Whenever we saw grandma, my mom was there with us. So I think that kind of like
Mm.
shaped how she is now with the grandkids, because most of the time when she see them, is I'm there too. It's not really dropping them off for a couple hours leaving. Like I'm there coming to see her also. So I
Right.
think that played a part in that, because that's how it was with us growing up. My mom didn't really drop us off. She was a stay-at-home mom, but we were always there.
Mm.
Every now and then if she did need to go out or something, my cousin, who's a couple of years older, she would be the one to come and watch us. So it wasn't, we really didn't get dropped off anywhere. We were mostly home. And
Oh.
like I said, if she needed her break, she would call, one of her nieces, to come
Mhm.
and watch us. So I think that kind of plays a part in it now with how she is as a grandparent, because like I said, the only time we really seen my grandmother was when my mom was over there with us. We didn't get dropped off at her house. So I think
Right.
she kind of used, because that was how it was with this, she used that, and that's how it is now. But it's a different time and different
Mhm.
dynamic now. And I think, it, the village is needed now more than ever, because like I said, my mom was a
Right.
stay-at-home mom, but I'm not. I'm working and my husband works.
Right.
So, both parents are
Mhm.
working now, where it's different than how it was back in the day. So I think that support
Exactly.
is needed more now than it was back then. It was easier for her
Mhm.
because she didn't have to work or do anything. So she was really, home with us. Whereas me,
Mhm.
even though I work from home, I'm still working and still trying to navigate the kids. And I told
Mhm.
told you, they be driving me crazy while I'm trying to work. They be talking and stuff, and I have to be on the
Girl.
phone. So it's not like, I'm working from home and I don't have to talk to anybody. Like my calls are recorded. They can hear background noise and stuff like that. So it's like,
Mhm.
for me, sometimes I need that break. So, because they're coming in the room while I'm on the phone, I can't mute it fast enough to be like, "What do you want?" I'll lock the door. They know how to unlock it,
Yeah.
so and still come in while I'm working. So it's like, even though I'm home and I'm working, like I'm home, but I'm still at work. So leave me alone.
Exactly.
And
And
yeah, so sometimes I'll be
for
needing that
moms,
space.
yeah, and for moms, they don't understand that because they're like mom. And
Mhm.
for them, because we are home and our husbands are at work, it's like, okay, well, you home, are you working? You know what I'm saying? Like they can't put two and two together. Like they know it, but they still
Mhm.
like, even like you talked about before, when there's a two-parent household, like we both had, where they have mom and dad. Who they come to? They come to mom. Like I
Mhm.
had it all last night. Like mom. I was like, isn't your dad downstairs? Like, but yeah, like you
Mhm.
said, and back in the day, it was different too. Like everybody be knowing everybody business, and now everybody don't know too much of no business. And then you don't
Mhm.
have the neighbors in your business, which is good for me because I don't, I don't play around with that because I don't need. But I was actually talking about this the other day where like people need, like if you see my kid, first of all, my kids don't even be going all crazy outside because again, that's how I am a parent. Like, and I don't
Mhm.
want my kids missing. But if that was the case, you know, you could at least be like, okay, let me call your mom or whatever, and let me see if it was okay for you just to walk down the street and stuff like that. So like
Mhm.
stuff like that, um can come into play with that village. And I'm not saying everybody gotta be in everybody's business because I like I said, I like it how it is. And but growing up, that's how my mom was telling me how everybody was all in everybody's business and stuff like that. So you know, that's, I guess, maybe back in the day, a lot of kids wasn't doing what they wasn't supposed to do. Maybe they was, but they still had those adult figures, coming together in the community to be like, hey, this don't look seem right. This is not right. Let me get somebody on this phone. Right.
Mhm.
And I think we do need that to this day. But again, it does come from, this village that we're talking about because not only does it have to come from the outside source, but everything starts in the family. And
Exactly.
I feel as though what you said, like, that goes back to say, when you stated that your mom didn't drop y'all off at your grandmom's, like I had the opposite. But when you said, like, even when you do it for a couple hours or whatever, you still there. So it's like those repeated cycles, you know what I mean? And
Right.
some people get stuck in their ways so much that they forget about the little people. They it's hard for them to get out of those generational curses, I would say.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm like, I'm looking at everything so different. I look at things in the future, like how these relationships going to be with my kids and growing up. And I can still, that's why I was talking about, like, thinking about the times that I had with my grandma, with my uncles and stuff like that. Because when we was at
Mhm.
my grandma's house, my uncles was there too. So we still had those relationships. Even like when I remember I was sick one time, I had to stay home from school. My uncle still took me out because it was like, look, we ain't staying in this house. We going somewhere. Let's go. I mean, I remember throwing up on the side of the damn mall, in the mall parking lot. And it was like, you good? All right, let's go. Like, like to go back home or whatever. So I have those memories, and it's sad
Mhm.
because now my kids don't have those memories because again, we don't have that village. Even though I strive and try so hard to build those villages, I want my kids to be like, okay, I was with my uncle, okay, I was with my aunts and we did X, Y, and Z and stuff like that. But then it becomes that trust issue, right? Because you got to build up their wall. And I think
Mhm.
hitting on that trust issue thing, that kind of thought that was my thought when you was telling me like how you and your mom don't just drop your kids off and stuff like that. I think maybe that was a trust issue with something because I can't do that with my siblings, like my sisters, because again it was a trust issue because whatever situation they be going through or whatever, it's like, okay, am I comfortable? Like you're my blood, but am I comfortable for my kid to be at your house or driving around with
Mhm.
you and stuff like that? Like all of those things take, it's like they, because they don't take a lot of accountability, it's hard for me to be like that trust. Because it's like, okay, if I ask you something, are you going to lie to me or are you going to say that it happened or it didn't happen? Like, are you going to be 100 with me? So with those things, now flip it, okay? When it comes down to my nephew and niece, they know Keisha got it going on. Meaning they know Keisha don't play around. They know how I keep my
Mhm.
kids. They know nothing's gonna happen to their kids. They know I'm gonna watch their kids. You know what I'm saying? They
Mhm.
know how what type of person I am as far as just a person in general. Because mind you, way before time, I was the family babysitter anyway, because remember, they had kids before me. And I still was
Right.
trusted because I had those abilities to be responsible and make sure I am watching the kid, not just be like, okay, you watching and put them in the front of the TV. No, I watched TV with them, whatever cartoon it was. I picked them up, I fed them, I changed diapers. I did all of that same thing, nurturing mother thing I'm doing now. But can I have
Mhm.
that same thing back? And we touched a little bit about that on a couple episodes that we had before. Like, if you do something for me, I expect you to do something for me. If I do something for you, I expect somebody to do something for me. So, but that's what I was saying. Like, I didn't expect that. It just came natural for me. So I get what you're talking about as far as being natural. But, and it's, people will say, like, oh, I'm controlling and this and that there. I don't think I'm controlling because at the end of the day, it's the best interest for me and my child. You know what I mean? So if I feel as
Yeah,
though they're
and
not
can't
in the
nobody tell
best
you how to parent your
situation,
child.
right? And if I'm not feeling that situation or in that best situation that I'm putting my kid in, then it's a no for me,
Mhm.
whether it's family members outside or whatever. And that's
Mhm.
why I said, like, when I became a mom, I would thoughts that these grandparents would have stepped up to the plate and be wanting to have the relationship. And like you said, you want it authentic. You want it to be like, okay, I'm coming to get X, Y, and Z and not be forced to do it because you have to want to do it. Because if you don't want to do it, then you're not going to care properly for my child and I'm not going to go through with it. So you can be mad all you want to. It's just not going to work. But I can also put my pride to the side and say, hey, I want you to build this relationship with my child. So let them go. But then if they in your presence and you're not treating them right, why are you so miserable? You know what I'm saying? Like I
Mhm.
need to know, why are you so miserable? Why is your tolerance so high for you being a grandmom, or a grandfather? Because now right now they just got their living grandmothers on both sides. You don't have an active grandfather because his father had passed a couple years ago too. So, and when he saw them, they were still like, I would say they were maybe 6, 7, maybe for my oldest, but yeah, but down. You know what I'm saying? Like, but younger, like 7 and younger. So now
Mhm.
as they growing up, he's really not seeing them because he passed away. So just like saying, I guess giving that little energy, that was cool. But actually, doing stuff with them, it was like, okay, what we doing here? So um I just don't know why they're so miserable. Like, what did the kids do? They're God's angels. So for me to be like, okay, let you over there for a couple, like the longest my kids been away from me was a week. And that was recently 2024 Easter. Okay. Because when it comes down to my kids, yeah, I'll let you have them for like a couple of days or a weekend or whatever. But to go that long, and then you acting like you don't know your tolerance, that's a problem for me, because now you saying like, okay, I'll watch them an extended day, but then you can't handle them. So then that takes me back to like, okay, now you bring in trauma to my kids that I don't even bring to my own kids. You see what I'm saying? So there goes
Mhm.
that trust issue of, we had a conversation, we let it go, we started all over, and then here you come doing something else. And that's why I have a problem with forgiveness, because people take your kindness for weakness. And again, I look at it like, okay, I'm trying to build these relationships for my kids so that they can, one, figure out who you are, right? How they can deal with you, so that because all relationships, like I was saying, it all starts in a household. So if
Mhm.
they can figure out and pick and choose on, okay, I want to be around this person or I don't want to be around this person, it gives them the tools to develop that mentality and that tolerance or non-tolerance of somebody, either hurting them or their energy when they go out in the real world. So that's why I think parenting, in-laws, all those relationships are important for the child growing up, because all of those things shape you as a person in general. Becomes trust issues, all of that type of stuff. Building up that wall, protecting your peace, protecting your feelings.
Mhm.
So that's why I try to
And that is
be
true.
positive.
That is true, because growing
Mm-hmm.
up, you were saying, you had your uncles because you don't have any aunts. Now I have aunts and uncles. My mom was one of three girls and two boys, but we didn't really spend time with
Mm-hmm.
my aunts or uncles like you were saying you did. And I didn't really go to my grandmother's house, so that guess that
Mm-hmm.
kind of shaped how it is now. But with my kids now, I want them to be closer to their aunts, their aunts and uncles. They have more aunts than uncles, but have that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
because like I said, growing up, the only time I really seen my aunts and uncles was during family gatherings. We didn't get dropped off
Right.
at my aunts or uncle's house. Like I said, we didn't get dropped off at my grandparents' house. So we were always home. So that's
Mm-hmm.
how it was for us. I didn't get dropped off. So I think, like I said, I think that's what kind of plays a role
Right.
in how it is now, because I don't really drop my kids off at my mom's house. I'm with them. I'm with them.
Right.
So
Same.
yeah, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you said, it's important to have those relationships, have that village, because I didn't have that growing up myself. And that's why I
Mm-hmm.
kind of strive to make sure they are around their cousins and try to go see their aunts and their
Mm-hmm.
uncles when, as much as possible. And like you were saying, I don't know if it was so much of like a trust thing, or is like my kids, I brought them into the world so they'll be with me. Like, speaking for my mom.
Right.
So I don't know if it,
Mm-hmm.
was that she didn't trust my aunts or uncles to
Mm-hmm.
watch them, or she just looked at it like, I brought them in this world, so I'm gonna be the one to take care and raise them and not put them on anybody else. I don't know,
And
which
that
way it was
part,
with her. Right.
mm-hmm,
So,
that
and
part is
so like I said,
basically
she
me
didn't really,
too.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I kind of am too. Like, most of the time they're with me, even when I need a break, they're
Mm-hmm.
still with me. I'll drop them off,
Yes.
here and there when I need to, but for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of handle it, because it's like, I brought them into this world, they're mine to raise, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna handle it how I handle it. But like you said, it doesn't mean that you don't need a break, because you do need that
Right.
sometimes, especially in today's world, because it's always it's different than how it was back in the day. And
Mm-hmm.
like how you was talking about, like how the neighbors and stuff in the village, it's different, because
Mm-hmm.
like you said, how your parenting is today, that's why I think things has changed too, because it's like, I don't want you to try and be disciplined my child especially if it's not the way I
Right.
discipline my child. Come talk to me, but don't,
Exactly.
whereas back in the day,
Mhm.
you might get spanked by the neighbor or something,
Yeah.
popped or
For
something like that,
real.
and then they go to your mom.
Mhm.
It's not like that now
Mhm.
because people are more like, don't touch my child, like this is mine, more
Mhm.
overprotective. So I think that changed the dynamic of the village also, not
Mhm.
having that kind of structure anymore. But it plays on to how you trust people with your kids, and
Yep.
people that you know, because people raise their kids differently. And the neighbor, she might be the one that want to yell and curse and stuff like that, and that may not be how you raise your child. So you're looking at it like, don't be trying to discipline my child. Just come and
Mhm.
talk to me.
Mhm.
So it's definitely
Yeah.
different
It's
now. Yeah, it's different now than how it was back in the day. But that still goes to say that the village is still needed because times have changed. And like you said, we work
mhm.
where, our parents might, not have worked. And it was, easier for them to kind of navigate. And I'm sure, well, I can say we didn't really get on my mom nerves, like, because we kind of went and did our own thing. Like I said, I'm one
Same.
of four girls. So we kind of was
Mhm.
doing our own thing. We'd be in our room, watching TV, playing with dolls or doing whatever, and we didn't really bother her. So I think for her it
Right.
was easier to kind of raise us because we weren't bad children. Well, I won't even say bad, like we weren't really like active and just all over the place or into stuff. We kind of, was settled and stayed in our rooms and did our own thing. We would come down here and there. But other than that,
Same here.
like, yeah, as I said, it's different because my kids, they off the wall, especially my youngest son. He be running back and forth, and I call him Speedy. That's his nickname because he cannot sit still to save his life. Like, he has to run everywhere. From it could be from the dining room to the kitchen, he running. It don't matter what it is. So they drive, so it's
Boy.
a different dynamic. Like, my kids are definitely different than how I was growing up. And I say that all the time. I'm like, I don't know where y'all came from because y'all don't act like me
Mm.
at all.
You know
Like,
why too?
and I'm still,
That's
quiet
also
and more reserved and stuff. They ain't like that at all.
yeah.
They rowdy and loud and whatever. So sometimes I be just needing like 5 minutes to myself just to think. Because I told you, as soon as I
Mhm.
clock out at 4:30, open that door, they flocking. They like, up, mom's done. Like, let me flock to her. And my husband could be right here, and they'll still flock to me because, like you said, I'm
Mhm.
mom. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm like that dynamic. And like you said, aunts and uncles, they are just as important. Just outside of you needing a break,
Mhm.
like I said earlier, just have that bond with your children. Like I said before on the previous podcast, I try to, you know, get them when I can, just so I can have that bond, or see them when I can, so I can have that bond with them. I don't get to do it
Right.
all the time because I'm working and I'm busy and I'm, mom too.
Mhm.
But I do try
Mhm.
to do that when I can, so that way they still know, this auntie and she gonna do this with them and she's fun and whatever. So I
Yeah,
still try to
same.
have that bond on my own with them outside of anything else.
Right. But you know what also blocks those blessings is the parents. Like
Yeah.
your siblings. You know what I'm saying? So like I
Mhm.
said, like if y'all get into something, they take that to the thing and thinking that you're gonna do something to their kids. Like, no.
Right.
My dynamic is different. Like real deep different. Like, yeah. That's why I had trust issues. But I was
Mhm.
gonna go back to the point where you said, we weren't bad kids. We were able to entertain ourselves and things like that. Same thing with
Mhm.
us. Like, but I also think that also came from our parents and that generational curse, like I talk about, because it's like we also were not able to express our feelings like we are giving our kids their voice. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? We
Mhm.
could not be in their face. We couldn't even go in their room. So it's like they didn't want to hear anything we had to say anyway. It was do as I say and don't say nothing else back. You know what I'm saying? So we had to obey. We had to do as they said. And if we did, it was, oh, you disrespectful. Because for me, I have a mouth. And I do see that in my kids too. But I gave them that because I'm like, I want you to have your voice, regardless if it's me or not. I just want you to be respectful about it. And for me, I feel as though I was respectful about it. But it's at the same time, you can't talk to me the way that you think you could talk to me. Like, I'm still a human at the end of the day. And that's why I always say, just because you have kids and they're little people, talk to them in a manner that you want to be talked to, because you
Right.
can't just be talking all crazy and think that you're going to have some respect back, like you talking, calling them different type of names and cursing at them and think they will say, okay, mom, let me do that. Like, no, you can't do that. So, and like I said before, I be trying to give them all the affirmation they need because I don't want them going out looking for anything. I don't need them looking for anything. And I want them to build up their own self-confidence and be like, okay, I can do this. Like they don't need that. But going back to these relationships, that's why they're important. Because again, they need to be able to be around certain people and have that so they can say, okay, now I know who I need to respect, who I need to be around,
Mhm.
get those tools and be appreciative too. Because sometimes when you are mom and dad every day, all day, and you don't have those breaks that you call them, I necessarily don't call them breaks. I because first of all, I don't need a break. I'm a mom. Yes, we need self-care,
I about
but
to say no.
I'm
I
more
need the
like,
break, even
yeah,
with
I
being a mom. I
need
still need the break.
yeah, but I need to have to build that relationship. I'm always looking for what they're going to get out of these relationships and build that connection with their siblings and things like that. I don't look at it as breaks because I'm not taking a break because my mind don't want allow me to take that break because I'm a mom 24/7. Now I don't went down to not being that mom that's worry all that like that type of stuff, but I still need to know what's going on with my kids. You know what I'm saying? So that's why also give them that voice, like I said, so they can communicate. We couldn't communicate back then. Like,
Well, you know
oh,
what?
what's wrong?
On my end, I was able to communicate because I was always respectful about it too. Like my mom did give
Mm,
us that space to be able to come to her and express our feelings. It's like you said, as long as it was
that's
respectful.
awesome.
So we did have that growing up, which
Yeah, we didn't.
instill that in my kids today.
Yeah, and well, we didn't, okay, because we would try to have that relationship, but by the time we in that conversation, grandma, uncles will know about it,
Hmm.
sisters, siblings, and they just talk about it. So it was not secretive between mom and I. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So, but for me, yes, I do that with my kids. First of all, they're girls. They're gonna have girl things. They don't want their dad to be knowing what's going on. First of
Right.
all, he already know half of the stuff that goes on with women anyway. But if we come to me and say, "Hey, mom, blah blah blah," I'm not gonna be like, "Okay, let me hurry up and tell daddy." No,
Right.
I do ask my daughter, like, "Okay, do you want daddy to know?" Like I get her permission. But also, even if she says yes, I'll let daddy know. Then you tell him,
Hmm.
not me. I
Hmm.
can't talk for you. And I'm also teaching them that too. Like I can be your advocate, but I can't talk for you because if I talk for you, that's taking away your voice. You need to
Right.
speak up, you
Right.
know? So, but that's again, all those different dynamics in relationships. That's why in-laws, parenting, with even with like we talked about before, relationship with dad is different from a relationship with the mom, so
Hmm.
forth, uncles, aunts, cousins. But like I said, I was the auntie too that would be able to go and pick up my niece and nephews and stuff like that. But again, now to this day, I don't because their moms have issues or whatever, and I feel like I'm being used to for like breaks. Like I want the relationship, right? So
Hmm.
I'm gonna do it, but don't use me because like if we not talking for a long time, and then we start talking, things like, oh, the first thing you saying, oh, well, come and get so and so. Like no.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, where were you when I needed you to take my so and so? But I also don't look at it that way either. I know it's kind of like contradicting, but it's really not because the way that I am is like I said, I'm built off of relationships. I want those relationships to happen. I want my kids to be close to their cousins, even though they're
Hmm.
younger, because I'm the one who waited to have them at a decent age where they are. And I'm not saying like a decent age. I'm just saying like I'm the one who was the last one out of the older siblings to have kids. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to put down people who had kids, at early ages, nothing like that. I'm just saying for me, because again, it's my life. I wanted it the way I have it now. So, I just wanted to balance those type of relationships, but I can't do
Hmm.
it by myself. I can't force it. Like you said, I want it natural. So, but yeah, it's all for a circle because the most important thing to me is not only the relationship with the siblings, but it's also the grandparents. The grandparents is the ones that supposed to, like you said before, set that foundation for us to build on it. But if their foundation is broken, it comes from the mom to start building that foundation, and then everything
Right.
else will come together.
I would say in my case, when I drop them off, I don't really have to worry about them. I know, like when they're
Mm-mm.
with either grandparent, I know that they're fine. So I don't really like. So I do. That's why I said a break, because I know they're in good hands. I don't have to worry about them. Yeah, I can call and check on them, but I know that they're going to be good. They're going to come back the same way they left. So
Right.
that gives me, that's why I said that gives me a break, because mentally I'm getting a break and physically, because I know I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to worry about them when they do go off and be with their grandparents or with their aunts or uncles, because we do have that, we have a good relationship on both sides, because I have two sister-in-law, and I have my own sisters on this side, and my brother.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever they go, whether they're with my sister-in-law or with my sisters, I don't have to worry about them, because I've seen like their parents, and I see that, especially my
Right.
oldest sister-in-law, her
Mm-hmm.
kids, they're really like, they're good. They're in good
Right.
spaces. They went off to the service. They have their families. They're married. And she has her grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing those dynamics and stuff is like, okay, I know that they'll be in good hands. But like I said, no matter who they go to, because my village is good and we have good relationships, I don't have to worry about them when I do drop them off. So that
Right.
works for
And
me.
that's good.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that's good. And that's like what I said when I was talking about my mom. If I would drop my kids off, I don't really want to have to worry about them either. Because
Hmm.
also my sister there, my brother there. So I know they can still have those additional relationships, because they
Right.
still in the same house. The same thing what you was talking about when my grandma moved, over there. My uncles were still there in the house. So that's, yeah, they didn't have to go like here and there and everywhere. But I know like one of my uncles who passed away, I mourn for him like every day, because like he was kind of like my best friend, because
Hmm.
like he showed me, like, because I was always the outsider anyway on the outskirts, and still is to this day. And he was the one that was more like, okay, come on, you won't come with me or whatever. And he used to pick us all up from school and stuff like that. And so he was more like, like I said, I don't have aunts, but he was more like an aunt. and not
He was
saying like,
uncty. Ain't that what they call it? Uncty? The aunt and the uncle.
yeah, that's what they say. I never heard of that, but yeah, he was basically, because he was basically like my mom right hand. Like he would do those things. Now my uncles, they didn't have kids or anything either, but they weren't the ones that would take on that role. But they still was the ones that tell us like, oh yeah, don't go out here and mess around and have this and that and the third and all that. They're basically giving us those type of conversations. Like I
Hmm.
have four uncles, right? And I can go to one on each topic and talk about it. That's how my uncles are. But with my one uncle that passed, I can go to him and tell him about anything. So that was the one uncle that I can just be like, this happened and that happened. Like,
Hmm.
yeah. So,
And you
but
needed that, because you didn't have, your father in your life. So
aunt.
he kind of filled that void for you and was the father figure
Well,
for
all of
you.
them are. Like I said,
Mhm.
yeah. Like if I had something going on, or listen, I got to go through all four of them, okay? Because they all was my, my father figure. So,
Mhm.
but yeah. So, yeah, I guess. But that's why, like, I miss him, because I know he will be the one that be stepping up to the plate, be like, "Come on, let me go get you girls, and we gonna go here and we gonna go
Mhm.
there." He'll have all of them. He was basically like me. He was the babysitter of the family.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. But
Mhm.
I more claim to him because again, I was the outsider, and he was like, you know what, open arms. So I miss him all the time for that, and I always think like, dang. I know he will be the same way how he was with me with my kids. Like I know I would be the one to be able to depend on him, to be there for me. So, but yeah, I know that
Yeah.
was a sad moment, but I promise you I ain't crying because I talk about it all the time. So, but yeah, I do miss him. But yeah, these parents and grandparents, listen, and I feel as though like the in-laws, like for my mom, first of all, for my husband's parents, okay, or his mom, my kids are their only grandkids. So I expect for them to be more involved,
Right, because
be
he's the
more like,
only
okay, I'm
child.
going to. That's what I'm talking about.
So
And
that
she only
makes
got
more
two
sense.
because I only got two. He don't
Mhm.
have no siblings. He's the only child, and she should be more. Okay, let me go get them. Let me come and get them, or let me take them shopping and stuff like that, and have those things. But when she have them, it's like I don't know. She get having for like 2 hours or whatever, and she getting all like that. And I'm like, why are you so miserable? Well, my mom is like, oh, they staying kids, they can do this and they can do that. But it's like for her, she don't drive to come get them. That's the point with me, with her, or again, using my guidance and then reinforcing them. That's
Mhm.
the problem that we have. But that's why I had told her, like, look, you gotta stay in your lane, ma. You gotta stay in your lane. I just want them to have relationships. Okay, so just do that, and they'll come back like, oh yeah, we did this and we do that, and again, I have my brother and my sister there too, so they have a relationship with them because they'll be around them, keeping
Mhm.
them company and stuff like that. But so I don't have an issue, when it comes down to my mom. That's the only issue that I have is her not being reinforcing what I have as doing as a parent. That's the
Mhm.
only problem.
Okay.
But being there and being able to call and check on them, that's fine. I can do that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Same thing with his mom. I can call like 50 times to check on my kids. That's not the issue. It's just the environment after the fact when I drop them off. Do I gotta think
Mhm.
about what you gonna be doing? If you gonna be all right, what are they doing to make you crazy? And then the other one is like, okay, are you doing as I say, or you doing what you want to do? So it's like, I don't feel like I should be able to pick. I feel like I don't need to pick my battle. I shouldn't have to pick my battles between the two. I just want you
Right.
to be there, be enforcers, and that's it. So, but yeah, that's how it is on my side.
And see, on
So
my
I'm
end, I
happy that
guess
you got
because
it.
how my mom parented us, she don't really she don't really try to overstep how I parent them. She may give like some advice
Mm,
and stuff, but she don't really, like I said, she don't try to overstep. So I don't
that's
have a
good.
problem with them being over there on either side because neither one try to like overstep how me and my husband raise the kids. They respect, how we do things. And she may sprinkle like a little
Mm,
stuff that she does in there, but it doesn't bother me because of how I was raised. So it's like I know it's coming
hmm
from a good place.
Yeah. And like you said, everything that we are today does come from different relationships,
Right.
you know,
Right.
having those different dynamics, going
Mhm.
in the real world, living in it,
Mhm.
figuring out who real, who fake, all of that comes from, all of those relationships to be the person that we are today. But for
Mhm.
me, I guess I was growing up like, I don't know, I guess when I was popped out, and born day one, I guess I was just like, I ain't be dealing with no time. I don't have tolerance for bullshit. I just don't. So I think that's why, some of these relationships are hard because they don't know how to deal with me because I don't put up with the bull crap. I don't, and I can't. And
Mhm.
I'm not fake. Like I can't be
Mhm.
like, girl, yeah. And they don't like my honest. That they don't like my honesty and my honest opinions. So
Okay.
half of the time with relationships, when you asking like, oh yeah, give me advice on X, Y, and Z. First of all, they don't take it. Number two, I'm wasting my breath. And number three, they really don't want that honesty.
Mhm.
So I want it, but some people are like that. But that's how I am.
Mhm.
And if you giving me bull crap, I'm cutting you off, like we talked about before.
Well, look, we done touched on everything, but again, it takes that village, and that village is important. But it's like you said, it's important for all of relationships. Like you said, with your
Mhm.
siblings and everyone, it's important to have that dynamic anyway, no matter what, because it rubs off on the children. And I know for me, one day when I become a grandparent, I think my
Mhm.
relationship will be different because of how, what I'm going through and raising my kids. So I'll probably
Right.
be the grandparent to go and pick the kids up instead of them being dropped off. I'll go pick
Yeah.
them up and spend time with them and do things because of
Mhm.
how, my experience with, their grandparents. So I think,
Exactly.
when I become a grandparent, I think it'll be well, I don't think, I know it's going to be different because
Me too. And I think about that too, because I'm always thinking in the future. That's just how my brain works. Um, Yeah, I feel as though my husband will be a great grandfather. I know he will because I see how he is with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
He's always going. We first of all, I also know I'm also going to be a great grandma because again, the same stuff that we do with our kids, like we go out, we do stuff with them. We're not going to be old ass grandparents, but we sit in the house and having them sit at the TV. We're actually going to be doing things, the same stuff we do with our kids. We're going to continue that legacy and do that with our,
Exactly.
grandkids, taking them
Exactly.
skating, helping them. I don't care if I'm crippled with one leg. I'm going to be helping them ride a bike.
You gotta
I'm
wash
going to
your
be helping them.
hands.
Listen,
It's
I'll be
gonna be a
rolling
memory
with them.
too. They're gonna
Okay,
be like, "No
come
more,
on,
grandma."
you. Okay, I'm gonna be helping them with this, riding a scooter. And I know my kids are already gonna be having that done because they love doing those things. So I know they're gonna instill those things and helping their kids be able to do that because they love being outside, first of all, and swimming and all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel as though like the stuff that we doing, like you said, it's general curses, but what we doing now is a positive generation curse. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Because
we're
we teaching
breaking the
them how they
cycle.
growing up.
Basically,
Yeah,
we're breaking the cycle.
breaking the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Because from back in the day, well, how we grew up is totally different from what we doing. And what we doing right now is we showing them how it go. And I'm pretty sure I know they're gonna be like, we ain't standing in this house today. Come on, let's go somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna be like, come on, we going to mom. Because I also had, remember I told you about that open door policy. Like, I don't care what age my kids is, they going, when they walk through our door, they gonna feel right at home. That's gonna be
Right.
their safe space. So I know when it comes down, when it comes down us being grandparents, they're gonna feel the same way when we're grandparents, when they have their kids, because I don't want them to have that burden or that, oh my God, we gotta go over our mom's house. Oh my God, we gotta go see daddy, stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want them to have no type of negativity when they walk through that door. I want them to be like, oh my gosh, I'm home. How y'all doing? So I strive for that. I strive for a lot of positivity. I strive for a lot of smiling, laughing, caring, nurturing. I just don't want to have no type of negative madness. Like, what you mad for being a grandparent? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And time
Like, I
time
don't
is
want
so
to do that.
short. Like, time is the most
It
important
is.
thing because, they're not gonna be around forever. The grandparents are gonna be around, so it's important to
Mm-hmm.
have to instill that bond, build that foundation with your grandchildren, so when you are gone, they do have those memories with you.
That's what I'm talking about. But people don't look at
Mhm.
it that way. That's what I'm saying. Why are you miserable? And misery love company. Okay?
I
That's
mean,
why
like
I'm
I was
always
saying
like, you
earlier,
know
in
what?
my case, we didn't get dropped off at my grandma's house. So yeah, I have memories of my grandmother, but I don't have, the memories like you were saying, how, riding a bike when we're going to scooter or being out. I don't have that. So I want
Yeah.
my grandchildren to have those memories. And my kids don't really have that
Hmm.
with their grandparents now because I mean they go to their house, but they don't really do things with them. Like,
That's what I'm
take them
saying.
out and do things with them. They just, go over there.
Hmm.
So for me, I do want it to be different when I have my grandchildren and, like they come over and I want to go to Gigi house or whatever they want to call me. And that they know,
Yeah.
like you said, we going to go out, we going to do stuff, we going to build those bonds, build those memories with them. Cause that's important. And that's stuff that they'll always remember and hold on to when their grandparents is gone. So I
Hmm.
want my
Girl,
grandchildren to have those memories.
we gotta get that retirement together, okay?
Right.
Because first of all, you got three, okay? And I got two,
I got
okay?
five.
We don't know how.
I
Oh yeah, five, right.
got
But
five.
we don't know how many they're gonna have each. So we're gonna have to get that money together, okay?
Mhm.
Because stuff, okay, with this economy, is gonna continue to increase. It is not like the back in the day. And speaking
Mhm.
of back in the day, when I talk about the economy, like you said, your mom was stay-at-home mom. My mom did work. So that's
Mhm.
another thing where she was able to, drop us off. And even when she didn't work, my grandma still got out of her bed. I guess it kept her going, and the school was around the corner from us. My
Okay.
grandma would come down the block or two because they still lived around the same area. She would get in her car in the morning, come down, drive us to school. So we did have that type of stuff. So I guess that's why, you know, and just to touch a little bit. Remember, I was telling you about how my daughter be wanting to go walk to school, and I was like, girl, I didn't want to walk to school and I had to walk to school, but she like, no, I want. So it's like a different two dynamic on that of the parents and how we was raised, because it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I didn't like that, but you like that. And my daughter's thinking like that will give her independency. And
Right.
I'm thinking like, I just want you to be safe. I need to know that you go to school and I'm gonna pick you up and you gonna come home in one piece.
Yeah, because it was safer
You
to
know what I'm
walk to school
saying?
back then when we didn't want to than it is now.
Right, but I also wanted my mom to drive me to school, and she didn't, so my grandma did. So, and I had to get on the bus,
Me
I
too.
had that little yellow
Me
school bus,
too.
and they're like, "Mom, I want to get on a bus," and I'm like, "No," because these bus drivers nowadays can't drive. You know how many accidents they be getting into? Like, I need to make sure y'all safe.
Now I will say
So,
she didn't drive me to school. 'Cause I went to school all the way like up the boulevard in Northeast, so she wasn't driving back and
mm,
forth there every day. But once I graduated and I started working, she would take me back and forth to work. And then she was like, "You gotta get your license." So she was made sure I got my permit and got my license. So I could get my own car. But I can say
mm,
she did, she did that. She took me back and forth to work. She ain't taking me to school though. So I did walk or got on the
yeah,
school bus or stuff like that.
girl, we was right around the corner. Okay. I mean, sometimes like we did walk because we was made to walk. We was told, yeah, well, yeah, walk, whatever. But I felt like I wanted that bond because okay, so fast forward. Okay, so I guess the school is a little round, but they still have buses, right?
Mhm.
So when she had the other my brother and sister, because remember we got that 13-year gap
Mhm.
between the two of us. So she would get in our car and drive on to school. They had to take no bus or nothing. Now maybe they had to take a bus one or two times, but I'm like, this what you doing? Like, why you gonna do that with me?
Well,
This is
no,
what
I
I
was gonna say
want. I
this.
thought that was
I
our
was gonna say
bonding
in my
time.
defense, when I was younger, well, no, because my mom, she started driving after my dad was in an accident because she didn't have her license or anything. She was a stay-at-home mom, so she didn't have
Oh,
her license, no car or anything. And once my dad had his car accident, then it was like, no, she had to get her license. She had to learn how to drive and get a car. So for my siblings, they did get drove
mhm.
to school. I didn't, but like I said, she was able to drive me to work and stuff once I graduated. And she did have a car probably before then, but she wasn't driving all the way up the boulevard every day. She was just like, "No, I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
Get on
but
the
that's the
bus with your
difference between
friends, get on the train, go to
yeah.
school."
But that was the difference between like the schools we went to was not far. Like you said, I
Okay.
know you talking about how you had to go all the way up the northeast, but I was
Mhm.
basically like up the block, maybe 2 blocks, and at the most, and around the corner.
Okay.
But I felt like I just wanted that bond. I guess I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So basically, what we trying to say here is that all relationships matter. I know it's
Mhm.
talked about it being, about the in-laws, but I wanted to start off with that piece because that's brought us to having our kids and how we want to change those dynamics, but also touch a little bit about how we grew up and what our dynamics was and our relationship. And again, turning into part of a little break in a cycle situation, but
Right.
making sure our kids have those type of relationships with our
Mhm.
family. So I wanted to bring this episode out because it is important to know who you are dealing with and who those grandparents going to be, because that all plays a part in how your kids are developing, going through life,
Mhm.
changing through relationships, finding their way through life, out in the street, in the house, because everything does start inside of the house.
Right.
And so you just have to make sure who you dealing with so they can continue to have those relationships, especially if you are really passionate about it, because there are great grandparents out here, don't get me wrong,
Right.
and I loved seeing those relationships. I love it.
Mhm.
And you know us, as far as just I'm not trying to be racist. I'm not racist at all, but I am talking about like most of the black families. We need to come together more. We need to keep these things tight and right because we are already out here triggered. And if we have these bonds and relationships and these people that step up to help guide our kids, even though the parents or fathers, mothers, other people out here and they hanging around with the wrong crowds or telling them, giving them a lot of negativity, this positivity guidance needs to be enforced so they can know that people are in their corner
Mhm.
and that they can do things and give them a lot of affirmation so they can make better choices in life and become more powerful. Because what? We're going to the top one of these days. Okay. We're gonna rise to the top. So I feel as though, like, for us, our Black community, we need to do better. We really do. So that's
That's
the
true. We already got
last
to
little
fight the
key
world. We
point.
shouldn't be fighting each other.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I just
Mm-mm.
said it a long way so it can get down deep in them thoughts, so y'all can
Mhm.
sit back and think about it. But I really do. I really do appreciate relationships, and I just hope, it will get better. But if it don't, it's all well, because at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing as a parent,
Right.
and I know what I'm doing as guiding my kids through life and how they should be able to, go through it when picking their different relationships. So they have each other, my girls,
Mhm.
and they're gonna be, and I teach them to be best friends. Don't let nobody come into their circles. They're gonna have their own set of friends. But at the end of the day, blood is thicker than water. And I
Right.
know that for sure.
Right.
So I appreciate y'all, life in with Keisha and Ish. Because we are going to be talking about what we say, the good, the bad, and all around. But
Mhm.
because it was a negativity up in here, but everything can't be positive, because in order for you to have that positivity, negativity comes in, but you just got to overpower it with that positive thought. So
Exactly. And it wouldn't
on
be
that
life if we
note,
don't talk about the good and the bad. You got to talk about both sides because that's
you
life.
do. It is. And it teaches you how good of a person you became out of those negativity things.
Mhm.
So on that note, um, yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe,
Yes.
okay? And
Subscribe.
go to our
Subscribe.
socials.
Subscribe.
Okay. And our socials, okay, will be in the link below as always. Y'all have a good day. See y'all.
See ya.